So this is the last part of the file input for right now. We have this program that can read data from this file, but right now if I have 5 numbers, I would have to know that there were 5 numbers in order to do this in file statement 5 times, right? Just to go back to where we were, let's see where we are right now. I've got this program that reads this file, and it reads the first 2 numbers in this file. And the reason I know is because I am echoing the output back. That just means printing it out to the screen so that I can see what was stored in that variable, right? So file processing programs should be flexible. They should not be written in such a way that you have to know how many lines there are in the file. You should only have to know the format of a single line, and that all of the lines have that same format. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set up what's called an end of file loop. End of file loop. Because I want my program to read until it finds no more data in the file. And there are multiple ways to set this up, guys, but the way that I am going to show you, I promise you will work 100% of the time. We are going to use a while loop. Because we're going to use a while loop, we need to read the first line before the loop starts. So I'm going to read the first number. Now I'm just kind of outlining here what we're going to do. Now I'm going to start my loop while not end of file. Remember, this is not the syntax. I'm going to type the syntax in, but EOF stands for end of file. And the compiler has a way, every time it attempts to read a line from the file, if it's successful at finding data and returning it to you, then it sets end of file to false. If there's no more data, if there's no more data to send back, then it sets end of file to true. Think of it as a flag. And so as long as end of file is false, then that means this last read, there was actually some data there, right? So inside the loop, I'm going to process num, do whatever I want to do with that variable. And then we will have to read again at the end. And so let's say if there were only 2 lines in this file, we would ask for a number. We get a number. So that means it's not end of file. Do something with that first number. Ask for a second number. There is a second number. It's not end of file. Do something with that number. Ask for a third number. There are no more numbers. It will return end of file as true. Not true will be false, and that will stop this loop, right? So let's implement that over here in terms of code. So this is the first one. We're going to read the first value before loop starts. That's what that is. So now start my end of file loop. And that's going to look like this. While not in file dot EOF. So EOF is a signal. Inside of the loop, let's just echo it back. And then we're going to read all other lines here. So once you've read 2 lines, then you have everything that you need to set up an end of file loop. So get the first number. Right now we're just going to print the data to show you that we can read all the data in the file. So remember, my file right now has 5 numbers in it. Here is my file, my numbers file, and look at my output, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it read every single number in that file. If I add more numbers to this file, this is just a notepad file, right? I'm going to add some more numbers. They don't have to be even numbers. 5, 12, 99. always hit the enter key on the last line of this file. So I'm saving this. So now I have a new numbers file. Let's see what happens when I run this program again. So as you see, we now are reading all of the values in the file, no matter how many lines there are. If I take some of them out, if I put only one number in here, it will work correctly. You should try that out. And so let's say that what I want to do is I want to print out that number times 2, right? So let's say, so here's where I want to, that was just for testing. What I want to do is process the data. So I want to display number and number times 2, right? So I can see out, maybe we're going to do it like this. Maybe I'm going to say num times 2 equals num times 2. Right, so maybe that's the output that I want to do with this program, is I want to take every line of that file and show what that number times 2 is. So again, here's my output, here's the file that I am reading from. It's here in numbers. So every single one of those numbers I read from the file, and then I did some processing with that data. So once you have the data in variables, then it becomes a program just like all the other programs that we've had. The only difference is what we've been doing in the past is we would be reading this number from CN. So instead of reading it from CN, we are reading it from a file, which is making it a lot easier to process. So again, the pattern that you use for an end of file loop is you always read the first value before the loop starts. Read first value before loop starts. And then you read all the others here. Guys, this is a situation. Don't use a do-while loop. Don't use a for loop. Use this pattern. This is going to work all the time, right? And so what you should do is I'm going to publish this in classwork. You know, you need to try to practice this. Actually, I'm going to change it up just a little bit because I'll talk about prompting for the name of the file on Tuesday. But you're going to read, and if you need to read and write to another file, you'll have both. Tell you what, I'm going to make one more video after this that will talk about that.